Welcome to the 10-Minute Car Sales Talk Podcast, where it's all about life in the car business. Telling you like it is, here's the man with the plan, Terry Cameron.
Welcome back to another episode of the 10-Minute Car Sales Talk Podcast. Before we get started, guys, I want to remind you to hop on over to iTunes. Give me that review, maybe a few comments. Your feedback is appreciated. And don't forget to share the episode. Another thing, I want to talk to managers, trainers, general managers about Game Show Presenter Gold. It's a tool that I use to add a lot of fun to our training. At the end of this podcast, just hop over to my website, 10minutecarsalestalk.com or 10minutesalestalk.com, and hit that free trial button. It's a really fun game that I think you'll enjoy. Retention is amazing after completing one of these game shows. All it does is mimic some television game shows, and you get to pick and choose the questions and format that you want to use. Lots of fun. So hop over to my website, hit that free trial button, and at the end of this podcast, I'll give you a little bit more detail of how Game Show Presenter Gold works. So again, thanks for coming back and listening to me one more time. This week, I'm going to talk about your lane keeping system. Is your lane keeping system working? I don't mean the one on your car. I'm talking about your internal lane keeping system. You need to stay in your own lane. Everybody at your dealership has a job and a function. And when you start getting your nose stuck in other people's jobs and functions and business, it screws everything up. Worry about that little piece of the pie that you can control. The dealer has everything he needs to be concerned about. The general manager has pretty much everything that he or she needs to worry about. Your general sales manager, sales people, make-ready, service advisors, they all have a part of that pie that they're responsible for. And as a salesperson, your responsibility is to do nothing but get customers on the lot and sell them cars. Right? Now that's the broad picture. Of course, there's a lot of other things you have to do throughout the day, but it's all directed towards selling a car and making some money. Now your managers have a little bit bigger piece of the pie. They have to worry about your job and their job, and they have to please that person above them also. So don't get involved in that. Don't get involved in finance. Whenever a salesperson starts answering finance questions, usually nothing good happens there. Another thing I want to talk about is something that just recently happened at my dealership. We had a customer come in, and she was not happy with a salesperson that we had. As a matter of fact, she was downright disgusted with this salesperson. The only reason that she came back is she was friends with our service manager, and her son really wanted a Kia. Evidently, the salesperson and her met once before at the dealership, and he said something, at least the customer said, that he said something that was very bad taste to her and upset her enough for her to leave and not buy a car. Well, she came back this time, and she really did not want anything to do with that salesperson. So another salesperson took it by the horns and decided he was going to try to change her view of our dealership and possibly sell a car. And he was doing a good job of that. At some point in time in this process, though, I noticed the salesperson that she did not want to talk to was talking to her, and I could see in her face that she was not happy. Think about this. Why would you want to be talking to another salesperson's customer while they're in the middle of their sales process? I mean, that starts a ruckus. I don't care where you're at. First thing everybody thinks is it's somebody's trying to skate my customer. Most of the time, that's what it is. We want to walk up to that customer in the middle of the process and tell them, hey, you worked with me a couple weeks ago. How come you didn't ask for me today? Or I sold you a car about a year ago. How come you haven't asked? Why didn't you ask for me when you came in? There's a reason they didn't, so you need to stay away from those customers. Stay in your own lane. So back to this other customer. I had to cut it off. I had to get him away from her, and I had to go in and apologize again. It should never happen at a dealership. That should never happen. I'm not saying the customer is always right, but the customer is always the customer. And in a previous episode, I mentioned how that customer could fire the entire dealership if they wanted to. Well, they didn't fire us. We worked through it, and at at the end of the day, they drove away in a brand new car and were completely satisfied and happy with us. You have to remember, you are running a business inside a business. You don't want anybody imposing on your market, right? They need to stay out of your market. They need to leave your customers alone. Just like you need to stay out of their market and leave their customers alone. When you stray from your lane, you lose a lot of your mojo. It's kind of hard to do your job when your mind is stuck on what's going on around you, about that customer that might be better than the customer that you're with. Why are they with that salesperson? Why aren't they with you? You have to stay focused and in your lane. Can you imagine what would happen to your sales growth if the finance manager decided to get out of his or her lane and they wanted to come out and talk to that customer and let them know, hey, I know what payment they told you, and that's going to be really, really hard to get you there, but maybe if we cut this deal a little bit, I might be able to get you there. Even if they were just putting that bug in your customer's ear, that would be a total disaster. Everybody has to stay in their lane. Everybody has an obligation to the dealer, to their team, and to themselves, and that's to sell as many cars as possible, make as much money as possible, have as much fun as possible, and make sure we get those happy customer scores. When you get out of your lane, you lose focus. And it bothers you, and it bothers everybody else that's involved in the process. I'm sure it's happened to every one of us in the past where we lost a customer to somebody else in the dealership, and we wanted to blame that on somebody or something else. Or really, we just wanted to find out why they did not come back to us. And we had to go up and talk to that customer and inquire about it. That's not the way we do things. If you really have to know, maybe you should wait until the sale is completed. Maybe you might want to talk to the salesperson and the manager away from that customer. Just stay in your lane. Don't worry about it. Stay focused. Keep your blinders on and go out and get your customer, or be with the one you're with right now and sell them a car. Stay out of everybody else's business. Let's talk about another example. What about another salesperson coming into your business, talking to your customer about how they saw the new model and they should consider that, and you don't happen to have that new model? Well, now you're stuck. You either have to deal or trade, or you're going to have to wait till one of them comes in. All they were trying to do is be nice and let that customer know that there's some other options out there. It was harmless, but it could have cost you a deal, or will cost you a deal in the future when that happens. When you're engaged with a customer, you're engaged with that customer. Your sole obligation is to them, to help them buy a car. That's how you make a living. And if you do it the right way, without thinking about everything else that's going on in the dealership or getting into somebody else's business, you're going to sell more cars. The customer is going to see that they have your undivided attention, and they're going to appreciate that. That falls into that transparency bucket. When that happens, they come back and buy again. They send customers to you. The experience is unforgettable. They're delighted. They're more than satisfied when they leave the dealership. So if you can, over the next couple weeks, I'd like you to try to take note of things happening in your dealership where somebody is getting out of their lane. This might be something that you want to talk about in an open forum in a sales meeting and see how you can make things a little bit better. There's a lot of things going on, and maybe when you do this, you'll find out that there's more happening than you realize. And managers, you might even find out that you're missing some deals because your salespeople have lane keeping systems that are malfunctioning. This is a great business, and you can make a lot of money. And you got to remember that this is a business. You're running a business inside a business. You have obligations to you, your family, the dealer, and your team to do your very best and stay in your lane. This is a great business, and I really do believe the sky is the limit. Keep working at it, and I'll see you next week.
Thanks for listening to this week's podcast. Please rate it on iTunes and visit the 10minutesalestalk.com website to send an email. We appreciate your valuable feedback, and don't forget to share the show with a friend.
Trainers, managers, and teachers, are you looking for a way to add fun to your training while keeping 100% of the focus of your class? I can help you because I discovered a tool that is attention magic. I've been using this tool for over 7 years and it's always a hit. I'm talking about Game Show Presenter Gold software. The amazing thing is that it makes it fun for people to pay attention, and people do pay attention to something that's challenging, competitive, and fun. Here's how it works. Game Show Presenter is a multimedia template. You just choose one of the built-in game show formats, then customize it with questions and answers about your topic, and your game is ready to play. The software handles the music, graphics, and scorekeeping. Game Show Presenter works with almost any audience, but for training salespeople, it's a blast because their competitive nature kicks in and they get a chance to show what they know and sometimes embarrass themselves a bit for what they don't know. Either way, the game makes for a memorable experience. I have a link to the Game Show Presenter software on my website, so come check it out. I've arranged for my listeners to get a 10% discount off the $99 one-time price. So be sure to use the buy link on my page, 10minutesalestalk.com. Game Show Presenter Gold. It'll transform your next training session like magic.